It's the Innovation Stream, and I'm here speaking with Ben Strutt, a director at Cambridge Design Partnership. Today we're going to be discussing consumer healthcare. Now Ben, you believe that we're living in a revolution in consumer healthcare.
That's right, Hannah, and I don't think we can put too fine a point on it. Change is all around us. It's exciting, it's liberating, it's dramatic, it's going to be transformational. For the consumer, the whole experience is changing. There are these almost polarised forces, both converging and blowing apart all the traditional norms, the traditional consumer healthcare experiences. And they're driven by these extraordinary range of forces. We've got big data, AI, sensors, the low cost of sensing, the appetite for consumers to take more control in their own health and well-being outcomes.
This all sounds quite dramatic, but what does it actually mean for the consumer now? And what does the term consumer healthcare actually really encompass?
Traditional consumer healthcare products tend to conform to a list of recipes that are pre-approved for certain indications and have a certain risk profile. And that tends to be why innovation within the product space is relatively limited. It also includes medical devices, and there are a range of medical device classifications depending on the risk. So Class 1 medical devices, for example, includes toothbrushes and Band-Aids. These are pretty low risk products. But actually consumer health also includes Class 2 products such as condoms because of their role in birth control, disease control and so on, as well as things like tampons because of their intimate nature and also the risk of toxic shock. But these things obviously have to perform to a very high level of quality time after time, and consumers expect that, and that's why they are regulated in this way. And as you can imagine, this actually typically stifles a lot of the creativity with the formulation, although a lot of the innovation tends to happen around the brand, the dosing experience, the delivery, the packaging, and so on.
And as a species, we're starting to live a little bit longer. We're taking more interest generally in our own healthcare and taking more responsibility for it. How's that affecting the field?
I think you've hit some great points there. So interest and responsibility. Consumers don't want to be seen as patients anymore. They want to be empowered. They want to take control of their lives, their body functions, the aging process. They want to understand themselves more as a data point. And of course, the tools, the technologies are now becoming available at a very accessible cost point to enable them to do that. One of the really exciting opportunities is around inclusion and diversity. Take menopause. This is a massively underserved sector at the moment, and actually the way that business models are evolving, digital data, personalisation, actually this is going to shine a spotlight on some of these forgotten and unseen segments.
And this increased consumer empowerment, and as more tech and data are coming online, do you think this is really driving a further amplification of all of the innovation that's going on in the field?
Yes, that's right, Hannah. And it doesn't matter whether it's big companies or small, fast-moving startups, they're all recognising the value of data. I'll give you an example. The Novartis CEO stood up in 2018 when he joined and said his vision for the company was to be a data-centric, digitally enabled company. That's extraordinary, a pharmaceutical company making a statement like that. And it gives you a sense of the direction of the industry. The consumer health industry as well is blowing itself apart if you look at what's going on at the moment. Johnson & Johnson is now spinning out its consumer division from its medical device and pharmaceutical division. GSK is repositioning itself as Haleon, and a lot of this change is about restructuring the businesses, the sector, the industry to be more competitive, more fast moving, and to compete with all of these other changes that are going on, whether it's big tech or small startups that are snapping at their heels. And it's not just traditional consumer healthcare or even big pharma that are undergoing this huge change. The elephant in the room is that big tech is coming, and I don't use that metaphor lightly. Big tech, the likes of Amazon, Google, Nvidia, IBM, these companies are already in our homes. You might ask, what does Google know about health? Well, I'll give you an example. 7% of all Google searches in the world are related to healthcare. That's 70,000 healthcare searches a minute. These people know an awful lot about what people want. They know an awful lot about data. Amazon, of course, is another fascinating competitor. Amazon was granted distribution rights in 12 states in 2017 for pharmaceuticals. They're now in 45 states with Amazon Pharmacy. This stuff is coming, and their entire purpose is to enable consumers to access self-treatment solutions in the home.
But it's not just about these, giant tech and pharma companies. There's space also for these smaller startups as well.
Yeah, the startup scene has never been so exciting. I read a report earlier this year that said that there's now 1,000 unicorns in the world. This is absolutely extraordinary. A unicorn is a private venture capital backed business which is valued at over $1 billion or more. Now, the term unicorn was only coined in 2013, so in less than a decade we've now got to over 1,000 startups doing really exciting stuff, many of them in the health or health related space. The whole innovation ecosystem is evolving, it's maturing. There are now dedicated venture capitalists who just look after femtech. And the whole open innovation space is maturing as well. Corporates don't just have OI teams, they have venturing teams, they have accelerators. Bayer's Leap's invested over $1.5 billion since it was set up in 2015 in agritech and healthcare futures. And Johnson & Johnson have J-Labs, this incredible incubator which is about meeting life sciences startups wherever they are on their journey and accelerating them into the future. And of course, it's not just about the unicorns. There are some incredible startups doing amazing pioneering technology for use in the home. Bayer Fertility, a British company which is pioneering an intracervical insemination kit. This is a piece of kit that is going to be approved for use in the home by couples with fertility challenges. This is a piece of technology which is proven under the right circumstances to have similar efficacy to other forms of assisted conception. If that isn't a great example of empowering the consumer, taking technology out of the treatment room into the home, I don't know what is.
And now moving on to developments in the digital world and how this is going to affect the consumer healthcare.
Absolutely, digital is everywhere and it's enabling a complete step change in business models, products and services. Johnson & Johnson have just launched Smart Check. This is an otoscope, a device for looking in the ear which fits over most smartphones, and it's going to completely change the diagnosis model. So now a parent woken up in the night by a child who's crying can use the otoscope to look in the ear, take video footage, stills, send that to a healthcare practitioner and get an instant diagnosis. It's going to step change the cost of treatment, the accessibility and the way that patients are triaged. They can decide whether to go to the emergency room or whether actually to dose up with paracetamol. We think of medical devices traditionally as being products, but of course now we're dealing with software as a medical device, and this is heralding a whole range of new opportunities and of course challenges around regulation, data protection and so on. Natural Cycles is a great example. It's an app, but it's a contraceptive. It's certified as a Class 2B medical device and has shown equivalent efficacy to other forms of contraception. Clue is a great example of just how quickly this landscape is moving. In 2013, it had just a handful of users. 3 years later, it was at Series B, $20 million investment. This is the pace that digital is enabling innovation to move.
So there certainly seems to be a lot of growth and a huge pace to this field. But how do you think the recent events with COVID and the pandemic have really shaped consumer healthcare?
It's been transformational in many ways. It's transformed the experience, the products, the services that people access and how they access them. There was a period where people didn't want to go to hospitals, they didn't want to go to the GP's surgery, and this opened the door for telemedicine to make 5, maybe even 10 years of progress. We've always joked about Dr. Google and being able to have that more intimate relationship with healthcare conditions and better understanding. People now understand the difference between their rapid antigen test and their PCR test. They don't want to be patronised by the terminology, they don't want to be patronised by the healthcare system. They want experiences that are convenient, efficacious and fit around their lives.
So whether it's the consumer healthcare experience or whether it's our increased expectation of that experience and, if you like, the consumerisation of the healthcare sphere, what do you think the future holds?
It's massively exciting, Hannah. Consumer healthcare companies are going to be working harder than ever to differentiate, create new products and services. Pharma companies are going to be working harder to create experiences that feel more consumerized, a much closer relationship with the brand, with the consumer, using this big data to drive the new treatment futures. Consumers are going to get experiences that are far more tailored to them, and a lot of this is going to be driven from the data that they themselves are generating and recording on their own smartwatches and smartphones in order to inform their own treatment and lifestyle decisions. Our children in 10 years' time are going to know more about their nutritional needs, their microbiome, even their reproductive health than actually you could get out of many advanced labs today.
Thank you so much, Ben Strutt. That was a fascinating discussion about the future of consumer healthcare.
Thank you, Hannah. It's been a pleasure.